Well, basically, unfortunately, their original drummer, Mark Green, we have to say hello to Mark.
Hello, Mark.
He felt he couldn't carry on. Got to the point where he just decided it wasn't for him anymore, unfortunately. Did a great job beforehand, in my opinion. And so Lee messaged me, asked if I knew anyone available. Fortunately, didn't, so I'm here.
So put yourself forward. Yeah. We have had somebody message in, by the way, to say, just how many bands is Johnny Peacock in?
Not as many as there used to be.
But still about 24.
I think it's down 22.
22, something like that. It's not really, but it is a lot of bands on the Isle of Man. We've had a few questions in from different people, actually, for Klever Shirts, who, in case you've just tuned in, first went into the recording studio in 1987, or at least, they've gone back. That was the last time they were in the recording studio, and now they've gone back into the recording studio for the first time in 35 years, which is a very exciting story indeed, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. But a few questions that have come in. A question for Paul. After listening to the track Boulder, which we're going to hear in just a moment, wanting to know what inspired the lyrics, because actually the lyrics sound like they might be quite kind of a personal journey type lyric,
I always try to write about something that has affected me. As a topic for that song, I can't go into too much detail, but it's just about life generally. Is pretty hard work at the moment over the last 2 years. A lot of people are pushing boulders when really do they need to? Should they let it go and just enjoy their lives a bit more? I think that's the general idea of the song.
Yeah, I think it's dealing with adversity, isn't it? I think, we all have to deal with adversity, and the message probably is that we're all in it together.
Yeah.
I think the first line of the chorus is, how many of you are just like me? Well, that's the reality. We're all in it. But, if you let it go and let it roll and roll with it, then perhaps you can get through it, and that's kind of what the message is. I think it was written in the depths of the pandemic. I think, guys. And,
End of last year.
So there's a message in there. I know we were all going through something. It was different for different people, but let it roll with it and get through it. That's the message.
There is also the lyric, I should say. Now I'm a little bit older. I now know where I went wrong. Is that true?
Entirely true, yes.
So you do know where you went wrong.
I know exactly. Only trouble is I can't go back and rectify the problem.
It does beg the question, though, because you were doing extremely well as Klever Shirts in the 80s. You had a label interested in everything, didn't you?
We played probably 7 or 8 times a month. Sometimes TT week we were playing 2 gigs a night. So we became quite tight pretty quickly, so but it all came to a bit of an abrupt end at the end of 87.
Why did it come to an end, Paul?
Well, I decided to go grape picking.
Is that a euphemism? He really did. He did decide to go grape picking in France.
When we arrived in Bordeaux, it was May, and they didn't start picking the grapes till the end of September, apparently. So.
Did you research then?
Loads, yeah.
And
no internet, fair enough,
we ended up hitchhiking all the way back from France.
And by that time you'd missed the record label opportunity.
Well, yeah, the sort of spark had gone a little bit then.
Oh, which is sad to hear. We're getting lots of messages in for you, though. So texter ending 791 says, how would you describe the genre of music of Klever Shirts? Robbie, do you want to take that one?
Oh, I think I might actually hand that over to my lead guitarist, Lee, there, because he came up with a fantastic title to describe our type of music. Go on, Lee.
It's difficult to describe our music. I think it's probably we call it probably jumping alternative rock or jumping guitar alternative rock. That's kind of what it is. That's our live feel. Who we compared to. That's a difficult one to answer, but certainly it's got a jumping feel. And I think come along to our live gigs and see how we roll.
I think it's quite unique actually. I can't really say it sounds like that band or it sounds like that band, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, another message has come in from text ending 902 saying, who would you say your audience is? That's quite a tricky one, isn't it?
It's hard because we're not getting any younger, so we'd love it to be a young audience, but I think it's more...
But there's a massive revival of this sort of music, isn't there?
We've had lots of... Well, my daughter's 19 and all her friends have watched us and said it was brilliant and they were up dancing, so...
Yeah.
I think Lucy's...
same. Yeah, my daughter's the same. She comes along to the gigs. Her friends come along. They really like it. And then, next alongside them, we've got the old guys like us, haven't we? So it's a mix.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it appeals to everybody, it seems, but putting a label alongside it or onto it, yeah, it's really difficult to do.
Yeah. And you have done a couple of gigs already. So, Robbie, what would you say? And of course, you're on the scene anyway. You play with May Chalice and the Dirty Legends. So, what would you say? How does the scene compare now to how it was back then in the 80s?
I still think that we don't have the venues like we used to, unfortunately. However, I think over this last couple of years, the live music scene, there's more out there. There's a few more places that have opened, and our comeback gig, if you want to call it that, that we did in the Railway last February. We wanted it to be special. We wanted it to work. We wanted everything to be right. And thankfully, we were overwhelmed with the amount of people that were in the venue. I've never seen anything like it. We were like kids with a big grin on our face, and it was just, fantastic.
So did it feel like a continuation from where you left off, or does it feel like brand new?
No, there's definitely a link there, because obviously we're still doing the same music, and
Yeah.
we opened up that night with the first song that we ever wrote, and I just remember looking across, and everybody's got like a smirky little grin on their face, like kids, like, yeah, we played this back in '86 at the first gig, and it's little things like that. But you can't always can't always look back to the past. You got to look forward to the future, and the mix of audience that were in that night, as Paul and Lee have just alluded to, was 18-year-olds up to sort of our age group, and
Which
they're
is
all there
fantastic.
singing the songs and knew the words, which is
People
fantastic.
remembered the songs as well, which shows it's a sign of a good song to me. If
Yeah.
it's remembered after 35 years.
That's amazing. Well, as Robbie said, looking to the new, and you are recording new music, which is super exciting. So we're going to hear the track that we just mentioned a few moments ago now, which is called Boulder. I think, Lee, you were nominated to talk about this a bit more. So just give us a bit of an introduction to Boulder.
Yeah, so Boulder, I mean, it was a song that we kind of, as usual, we come up with a riff and idea. It was nothing more than that. And so that's usually me and Rob that do that, and then we take it to Paul. He then puts his lyrics to it, and the idea was to get something that was just, as we said, was a message at the time, probably, but also something that give it a bit of a. I mean, we probably felt at the time it was a bit of a gospel feel, dare I say it, to it, and whether it comes through in the song is difficult to say, but that was kind of where we were headed with it. We brought in some female backing vocalists to help us along to get that feel, which worked really well, and we had a great time recording it. It's out on all the digital platforms next week. I think Saturday the 19th, I think it is.
Super
and
exciting.
it'll coincide with our next live gig as well.